Hello, welcome to Skype call testing service.
Scanning for audio.
Hello and welcome to a Tin Dog podcast, a nice special one, this time interviewing Jenny T Colgan, also known as, of course, Jenny Colgan, who's produced some rather nice Doctor Who stuff that I'm sure we'll be talking about at any length of time. So, here we go. Hello, Jenny.
Hello there. Hi, nice to speak to you.
Now, obviously I'm not expecting you to have heard the Tin Dog podcast before, but Missy, are you at all a podcast listener?
Well, do you know, I have a real problem, not just with podcasts, but with radios, which is that my mother was an obsessive Radio 4 listener, which meant from when I was really tiny, I kind of learnt to just block out anybody speaking on the radio so that I could go and read a Doctor Who book. Actually, no, I tend to listen to, if I am in a happy working mode, upbeat pop music, and if I'm in a very difficult working mode, I like to listen to very repetitive kind of Michael Nyman type, Philip Glass type music. Oh, some Bach, that'll do it too.
I'm guessing you've got a massive collection of soundtrack albums then.
Yes, I do actually. Yeah, there's all sorts of, I like Wim Mertens and all sorts of soundtrack. In fact, oh goodness, my mind has gone completely blank. The Doctor Who, having Murray has been, I think, such a huge part in New Who's success. You know, the way he just made it so big and awesome and exciting.
I know. Right. It's the 16th of May today. It's basically David Tennant Day on Twitter. Are you excited? I mean, let's face it, you've done story 2 of the David Tennant box set, and has it kind of affected you a bit?
Oh, yeah. No, actually, I think as we speak, they are desperately working really hard at Big Finish to get the servers back up. They've crashed the system. It has been it's been a roller coaster, is such a hideous cliche for anyone to use, never mind a writer. But yeah, it has been kind of anxiety, followed by excitement, followed by terror, followed by some misery. So yeah, it has. It's been up and down, but there you go. We're here. We're finally out.
I'm sure 10,000 people had already downloaded it beforehand, so I think we're all right. And I'm sure by the time they get to hear this interview, everything will be sorted.
They'll have sorted it, yeah, we know. But I will say, I've got the CDs, and the CDs look tremendous. The covers are grey, and they have a really nice kind of 2008 feel about them.
Oh, I know. I must admit, I've heard them myself, and I'm a huge fan, especially, well, I'm not going to be all fawning, but your story was particularly good. Now, I've got one question. On the back of every single one of your books tells the same story. It says that as a child you met Peter Davison, who mistook you for a boy.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us the actual full story so that we know it once and for all and we can let it go?
Of course, although funny enough, the longer I work in Who, of course, the more people I met that entered that competition, which was in 1981, 82, thereabouts, and it was to meet Doctor Who. But when the competition kind of came up, it was Tom Baker who was a big deal as far as I was concerned. So I entered the competition with my cousins. We got all the answers. It was for Target Books, and I won astonishingly. And it took forever. They changed doctors by the time I got to go down to the taping of what was Frontios. I didn't know that at the time, but I know that now. It was Frontios. And Tegan was there, and Nissa was there, who I thought was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen in my life. I still think that. And Turlough was there, whom I was quite scared of, and the fact that he was very charming was a bit worrying. And of course, we were in the bowels of Broadcasting House, and it was pitch dark. And there, of course, in the corner was this plywood TARDIS, and I was very excited. And it was just after our wedding, and I had that horrible Princess Diana haircut that suited nobody, not even Princess Diana. And I just was looking at it with this longing. And Mr. Davison, who of course is quite a tall chap, kind of wandered over out of the gloom, and he said, "I wouldn't look in there, son. It's very disappointing." because we told me not to go over and touch the toes. And I think I was quite young. I guess I must have been 10 going on 11, but I was young for my age. And I think kind of right up to that moment, I had a real sense that the doctor might be real. That they might actually go, do you just want to come? And I would go, yeah, all right, that'd be fine. And so yes, it was quite the eye opener. The props department had tinfoil, and they had some mattresses, I remember, and they were putting the tinfoil on the mattresses to make them look like space mattresses. I thought, I'm not sure this is real, But it was lovely. And actually, there's two nice codas to the story. One is, well, a few actually. Pete Harness, of course, the great Doctor Who writer, every time I run into him, he growls at me because he really wanted to win that competition and did not. The other person who entered that competition and did not win was a very young David MacDonald, who was just up the road from me, who changed his name to Tennant and did quite well later.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he got to spend a lot of time on set himself, so it doesn't count.
I feel in the long run, he certainly did. Yeah, he did win the competition in a way. And then the other nice thing is I got a phone call from the BBC archive out of the blue saying, we believe that you were here on such and such a day. Can you confirm it? And of course I did. And I'm in the official, back in the bills of well, Television Centre's not there anymore, but I am officially in the kind of official line of Who, if you like. I'm always going to be there, and that makes me feel really pleased.
Well, that's lovely. Now, what I've done is I've been on Divergent Universe, and I've asked the people on the forum if they've got any questions for you. But before I go into those questions, I've got one last one. Now, we know for a fact that you are ridiculously well known for what's rather disparagingly known in some phrases as chick lit, which is where you made your mark originally. But of course, being Doctor Who fans, we were all hanging around with our Virgin adventures, and some of us hadn't even noticed your existence. Then you turn up and you go, oh yeah, I'm just writing a few books. And a lot of us have that suspicious face, and then we read the books and we don't have the suspicious face at all anymore. So you've gone from Jenny T Colgan when you're hanging around with us. Is the T a real T, or is it like Russell T Davis's T?
It is Russell T Davis's T, because I don't have a middle name, and my other publishers, my romantic comedy publishers, have, they put a lot of effort into kind of trying to build me up and put me in bookshops and things like that. And so we wanted to make sure that you wouldn't get mixed up. I'm sorry about that noise. My dog is eating something. Neville, shoot, come here. And right, I'll say that again. So, my publishers wanted to make sure that we couldn't get confused in any way. And so I, as a kind of homage to Russell, I put that T in, because I don't have a middle name either, which was fine. And then somebody at a conference asked me what it stood for, and I was feeling mischievous. And I said, oh, it stands for TARDIS, which I really regret saying now, because it comes up all the time. And there's always some wag that thinks it's hilarious to go, oh, you're bigger on the inside than the outside. So it's a terrible regret that I did that now, but too late to change it.
That's all right with us. We promise not to do the same jokes everyone else. We do. Right. Now, I've got a big pile of stuff here, because I went to my bookcase and I went, oh, I'll just get them out so I've got them in front of me. And then I realised you've written considerably more than I thought, because I've got the lovely hardback copy of Time Trips with that tremendously wonderful dust jacket which you can unfold.
Morris's dust jacket, isn't that a wonderful?
That is so nice.
He's a very good man.
There we are. And then of course we've got Dark Horizons, which was the first time people like us noticed you and went, oh, that's remarkably good, and has proper Vikings in it. Hooray. But you've also got a nice bit of Legends of the Shielder, and you've got the Legends of River Song, which is out sort of in the next few weeks. I think it's already out electronically, but it's out physically in the next few weeks. And then, of course, you've got In the Blood, which is out now. And I would be remiss of saying, can you, sell it to us. Sell us In the Blood.
I don't need to sell you In the Blood, because it's a very clear pitch which is that it's Ten and Donna, who are always fun and hilarious, and and it's about internet trolls, people that write kind of nasty things on the internet start getting this virus and kind of dying. And at first, no one's that fussed because they're not very nice, and obviously the Doctor doesn't see people in those terms, so they have to kind of go on a globe-trotting adventure to track it down. I had such fun within the blood. Because the lovely thing about writing full-length novels as opposed to shorter pieces, or audio in fact, is that you just have more generosity of time. It doesn't need to take place in 45 minutes or an hour or over a short period of time. So you can do the stuff I really like doing. I'm a terrible one for sending people into the TARDIS because it was what I liked when I was a child. They have to you have to work out on logistics, so they go to sleep places and get places, and that kind of stuff to me is great fun. I love doing all of that. So it's a kind of Bourne Identity style, fast-paced Earth adventure. Don't look too closely about the dating. It's a bit unit dating in terms of when it's set. But apart from that, I think everyone who likes the Doctor and Donna is going to like it.
Well, to be fair, we've now got the Dr. Donna audios, and we're not going to be that bothered about when they're set either. So I don't think that's really an issue. And we've been dealing with unit dating long enough just to go, oh, look, something shiny.
Yes,
so it's fine. It's really not a problem. And I must admit, I have read it myself, and it's marvellous. I'll do a proper review very soon, but I am a very big fan, and it's... I hate using the word romp. I genuinely don't like using it because, I know more words than that. I'm fairly eloquent, but it hits the ground running. Like you said, Bourne Identity, it's a thriller. It's an actual thriller. There's a scene on an aeroplane which you can picture so visually while reading it that you're going, is this an adaptation of something I've seen? Like one of those old Target books, and you're going, no, this is better. So, yeah, you do get that thriller aspect, but it is so Doctor and Ten. How did you go about capturing their voice, or do you just know them like we do? Because obviously you're one of us.
I think I just
so well.
I mean, also particularly that because David was such a beneficiary of that real Lennon, McCartney, Stephen and Russell era of this, the run that he had, the amount of not just good episodes, astonishing episodes that he had that stand up. So Silence in the Library stands up. Turn Left, you can watch it forever. The Family of Blood, you can watch over and over again. Blink doesn't need anything said about it. He has Girl in the Fireplace, just an astonishing array of tremendous episodes. So they're very easy to watch. Donna, I think I have quite a lot in common with. In a way, we're about the same age. We would be really keen to go in the TARDIS and have a brilliant time all the time, and I'm probably not quite as shouty. So yeah, I mean, my trouble always is cutting down on them chit-chat. I would happily listen to, when I was writing for Big Finish, I really didn't want them to do anything. I would happily just listen to them bantering around the TARDIS for hours. And actually my favourite scene in it is the very last one where they're off to the library of all places. Just chat, just being themselves, and I think they bring out the best in each other. He's not as mopey when she's there, and she has a lot more self-confidence when she is.
Right. Oh, while I've got you on, I just need to say that back in January, everyone who's listened to the show knows all this already, but and I got run over and I ended up in hospital. And I was supposed to be reviewing The Legends of Ashildr at this point. So I had the copy of the book and I was reading it. So sort of 2 nights in, I think just before one of the operations I had, I was reading your story. And I must admit, it is one of the single most touching bits of literature I've ever read in any form. And it's genuinely soul-destroying. Because I'm guessing you went to the pitch meeting and everyone went, let's do The Legends of Ashildr. We'll all do some nice, funny stories about her life. And you sat there and went, I want to do about the death of her children. Yay, that's for me. So how did that?
Well, when I watched, I was astonished at what they got away with. I was astonished that they could do that. I had the scripts. So it was before it was on because I was pitching before it was on. And I thought, seriously, because the one thing you do not do in Doctor Who is kill a child, and they killed 3 of them. And they killed them like that. And I although I think it was brilliant, and I think the writing was great, and I think Kath is a wonderful Who writer. But I did feel that the Doctor gets off very lightly for what he did, because what he did was a terrible thing, and we know that immortality would be a terrible thing. So yeah, I know it's kind of probably uncharacteristic because I'm quite a bouncy writer in general, but I was so furious. I think because I have 3 children, the fact that they killed 3 children in 5 seconds of screen time, and kind of wobbled on and did some kind of gags about highwaymen. I was furious. So So I just, and the funny thing is, normally, if I was to wander up as I would normally do and go, oh, I would like to do this or such and such, then they would have said no right away. But because it had already been done, that it was happening, that she was going to have 3 dead children, then I was desperate that to have a crack at it. Also, the other thing in the script is that the doctor cries when he reads about this, and I thought, there you go, write a story to make the doctor cry. There's a challenge and a half not to shy away from. So I'm quite proud of that one, actually.
Well, rightly so. Okay, now before I'm torn now because. Personally, I want to ask you great, long, convoluted questions about your writing technique, about the setup you've got going and things like that. But that's going to bore lots of my listeners rigid. But it's the sort of thing that I want to know about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to some of the questions that the Divergent Universe people asked and go through those. Because I also don't want to bore you rigid and ask you lots of other writer-type questions. So here we go. One from someone called Mucky Pup. Which doctor is your doctor?
Well, Peter Davison's my doctor in terms of being at that kind of pivotal moment of my life. Really, I mean, Tom Baker I was a fan, but I was very young and I loved it. But I was always a bit. I can't bear to rewatch Warrior's Gate because I loved it so much when I was that age, but it made no sense to me at the time, and
it still doesn't.
I know, and that's why I don't want to watch it. It's like a dream that I had, that beautiful dream.
Don't tell Stephen Gallagher. Yeah, it's fine.
So but then with Peter, I watched every single one, and I adored him, and I cared a lot about the girls, and and all that kind of stuff. So he's my defining era doctor, and I always think it's interesting. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
1972. I'm 40 odd. Yeah. I'm guessing we've got fairly similar experiences.
It's so interesting that we're all the same age, or how many of us are exactly the same age. And my theory is that we were about 7 or 8 that big Douglas Adams year with City of Death and all of that. So I think it hit us at a really good time for the show, that we all came in about 1977, and that was a big deal.
It was, you're right. You're so right. And of course, my everyone's aware of this, but my first major crush was on Tegan, so I completely get what you were saying about everyone at that time. Yeah,
it's just when it hits you. So Peter's my doctor. Peter 1 is my doctor.
Ah, yes. Oh, Peter, what? I hadn't even thought about there being more than one, but you're so right. Okay, next question. Which classic story, obviously you'll have given this some thought, do you wish you'd written?
Trial of a Time Lord, I like. Brain of Morbius, I liked a lot.
All of Trial of a Time Lord, or just one bit?
Yeah, I know. It's a good question. I don't know. I suppose if you were going to write one, you'd write City of Death, because it's so clever, so witty. And also, I'll tell you what you like about City of Death. It's one of those ones you can show to a non-Who fan and they'll still like it. And those are to be treasured. There's very few people in the world that you can show Blink to that won't like it. And I think City of Death is like that too.
Right, I've got one here from Whiskey Brewer. Which doctor, apart from the ones you've written for, would you like to write for?
I've never written for Chris. So I've written for I haven't written for Tom. But loads of other people do that incredibly well, and I read a lot of those targets as well. So, and I've written for everyone else that I really desperately want to write for, except for Chris and Rose, and I would like to do that.
Is your intention to hang on until he finally changes his mind one morning and goes, actually, these Big Finish people sound all right?
It's going to happen. Yes, I have.
It's got
absolutely.
to one day.
No,
with no foreknowledge whatsoever, we're just sitting here idly going, of course it's going to happen one day because we wish it.
Yes, he'll roll up one day.
Yeah. Now, I've got one from here from someone called Tau, which is Toaau, and I cannot pronounce that, so forgive me. I'm supposed to mention that they also love Dark Horizons. But which Doctor Who story that you've written do you consider to be your best? Or is it always the last one you did?
Oh, no, it's never the last one you did.
Or is it always the next one?
Yeah, it's always the next one. I'm really fond of Picnic at Asgard just because it was such a cheeky thing to do. It wasn't like a Shielded where there was a gap in the story to be told, or in The Blood where, they kind of were looking for something else set or whatever. Picnic at Asgard, they said, do you want to write a short for River? And I went, oh, yes. And I knew that Stephen was doing the Singing Towers of Delirium for Last Christmas. I knew that was happening. and of course Picnic at Asgard, Singing Towers. Those are the two things that come up. And I said, well, I guess I hadn't seen the script, and I said, well, I guess it's about, you know, River's going to be thinking one day about whether she would want to have children. And they went, what? No, oh my God, disgusting, children. And I said, well, I wouldn't write that then, because she is mostly human. And they kind of went, no, you can't write that. And then a couple of weeks later, so you can conspiracy theory this one, I got word back from Cardiff that they'd had a think about it and decided that I could write about River having children. And they said, but you got to do it with 10. I went, yeah, no, I've got to do it with 11 because I'm not going in with 10. And they came back and said, okay. And I wrote it, and it's, I don't know. I am very, very, very proud of it. And I think it's funny. Asgard's a kind of, it's like a Disneyland planet where you go and pretend to be Vikings, and there's all sorts of cool things they get to do. You couldn't film it, you know, for less than £150 million, you know. But yeah, I'm really fond of it.
Right, and finally, from the Divergent Universe questions, Acoustic Wolf asks, which TARDIS team would you like to have been part of?
Oh, Nissen, Tegan, and actually Nissen, Tegan, they don't go with Turlo except for once. There's only once that they're all together.
And that's the laugh-a-minute romp that is Terminus.
Seriously, then they go to Terminus. But do you know, I think you can have a gang, and I think it can be done, and it would be interesting. It's difficult, and it's interesting. You know, they just make Nissa faint and cart her off for like 3 episodes, and obviously they had longer.
Yeah, where this weird Walkman thing. Oh, you've gone to sleep for a whole story. Bye.
She's very good at fainting. She's very elegant fainter. But you know, they were a gang, and I like that. And I think now, oh my goodness, the interesting kind of things, permutations you could have between them, rather than just, you know, I'll do something clever, I'll run away. So that was very much the dream. I have to say, I wasn't mad fond of Amy and Rory. I didn't like having a couple on board. It didn't really work for me. Especially, was it going to be a triangle or wasn't it? Well, it wasn't. So yeah, in terms of gangs, I think that was definitely the one to be involved in.
Well, that's the last of the questions from the Divergent Universe. And I must admit, I've been very grateful that we could have this chat. The last thing that I'd like to deal with is that I know you've been doing these big finishes, but you've also done a few others. You've also you've had River Song do your lines on audio.
Yes, oh my goodness, I have such a girl crush on her. She's so lovely. She's exactly what you think she'd be like. Just kind of gorgeous and really beautiful and really nice. And yes, that was fun. But it's quite, audio's a real learning process for me, because I haven't I've written dozens of novels and I haven't written a lot of plays, and I certainly haven't written much radio, though I've written a lot of screenplays and so on. So yeah, so it's kind of, I think I'm working on it. I will get the hang of it. I'm doing.
So what were the lessons that you learned for audio when you were doing it?
I think just keep the scenes short. Don't put too much ambitious world building in. Don't have people pointing at stuff all the time. Go, stand, doctor. So lots of lessons. I'm working on can I say yes? I can. I'm working on a Torchwood episode right now. So hopefully,
marvelous.
I can take everything I'm kind of getting from the learning curve and apply it to Torchwood.
Everyone who's listened to this show knows how much I'm thinking that the audio version of Torchwood is better than any other version of Torchwood that's ever been.
What, better than Children of Earth?
Yeah. Yeah. God, yes.
For the next couple of hours.
Yes, if anyone could possibly go back and listen to my daily reports on Children of Earth, never do a daily podcast and never review something that's such hilarious. Yeah, but only made worse possibly by Series 4. I don't know why. For me, Torchwood's at its best in Series 2, but that's just me. The world is kind of split with Torchwood. It's like you either like it at the beginning or in the middle or at the end. There's not a lot of people who liked it all the way through.
No. It changes focus.
It certainly did. But anyway, I am so glad that you're not abandoning me, Finish. And I'd like to thank you for spending some time with us.
Oh, it's been really fun. Thank you.
Jenny T, made up middle name, Colgan. I'd like to thank you. Be seeing you. That was the Doctor Who Tin Dog Podcast, available on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, RSS, Vimeo, and across the internet. Doctor Who and its associated properties are all copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Why not become a supporter by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions. Doctor Who, The 10th Doctor Adventures.
Ready for departure. Stand clear.
What is this place?
Calibris, brilliant place. An entirely mechanical planet. Catch, hitch, fuel, fix, buy pretty much any kind of transportation in existence. This M-Pad's a massive leap in user-friendly tech. Meadow Digital's ahead of the game on the chipsets. Quadruple core nano circuits and a sleek, sexy designer package. Ultra thin. Look.
You're talking, but it's all geek to me. Can we go?
Yeah, I suppose. Robots running amok. Donna, we're on.
Remain where you are.
Bex, grab my hand. Go, Donna, one of us needs to. And I can't.
Come on if you're coming. Don't want to dislocate a shoulder for nothing.
Do not run. We require test subjects.
Ah, there it is. Vagabond's Reach, Tavern of Taverns, most feared social environment in the galaxy.
You've never been up Sugar Hut on a Tuesday.
You don't know everything about me. Ready?
Is this the front door? They don't even have bouncers.
Yeah, basically, think of them all as bouncers.
Watch out!
Oh! Thanks!
Nowhere to run, stranger. I can. That table is natural.
Doctor! What is happening? Doctor!
I'm hanging on to your banner, and there's a skeleton around my neck. Oh! Oh, that has definitely never happened before.
Big Finish. We love stories.
What are you saying? They fizzled in somehow? Like the TARDIS?
Yeah, transmat from another dimension. The TARDIS doesn't fizzle. It's more of a...
Yes, what I'd done is I'd plugged my headphones into my microphone and my microphone into my headphones. Oh, yes, I've not been doing this for 10 years for nothing.
Oh, nobody can get Skype to work. Not really.